for their loyal support. This, our 10th issue, marks a milestone in video publishing. Over the years, we've brought you many hours of programming dedicated to the radio control hobby. In addition to covering model events, producing reviews, and building tips, RC Video is actively involved with many manufacturers of radio control equipment and with the Academy of Model Aeronautics. We'd like to give you a brief glimpse of some of these programs we have produced. You may even have seen them at trade shows or at your local hobby dealer. We traveled to sunny California to shoot this lively and entertaining marketing tape for Gorham Model Products. The tape features the product line of Gorham and contains a section on flying tips for beginners. Robert Gorham performed some exceptional oceanfront maneuvers to round out this 30-minute program. Later on in Volume 10, you will be seeing the following program in its entirety. The AMA Working for You was shot on location at the National Center for Aeromodeling Museum in Reston, Virginia. The AMA makes every effort to provide numerous services to modelers and encourages you to visit the museum in Reston. We're sure you will learn something you didn't know about the AMA in this program. The producers of RC Video magazine are aware of the importance and growing use of video as an educational and instructional tool. Last summer, we worked closely with Midwest Incorporated of Hobart, Indiana, and produced a 20-minute tape featuring their new trainer, the Aerostar. It quickly takes the first-time modeler all the way through the selection, building, and flying of an RC airplane. Of course, we can't cover every detail of building a model airplane in 20 minutes, but the program highlights the easy construction manual Midwest has included. Another manufacturer of model airplane kits we are very proud to have worked with is SIG Manufacturing. The SIG video tour was produced at the manufacturing plant in Montezuma, Iowa. This tape covers virtually all aspects of SIG's numerous operations and includes flying footage of some of SIG's products. RC Video magazine has also produced a 30-minute special edition program on the incredible radio control air show Striking Back, held every August in Ida Grove, Iowa at Byron. We covered the program with a combination of video and film cameras to give you the most exciting World War II reenactment possible. There were even 2 remote control-operated cameras right on the set during the reenactment, which provides some spectacular footage in this action-packed show. Once again, all of us here at RC Video thank you for your support and patience with the magazine. As a special bonus to our subscribers, this 10th issue will carry no commercial advertising. We are constantly striving to provide the highest quality and best radio control programs in the industry. We hope you will enjoy Volume 10.
A4, jet hangar's A4. Polacco, that sounds like a cute little Indian girl to me, you know, Polacco.
The Greater Southwest Fanfly, held at Copeland Field near Fort Worth, Texas, is in its 5th year. Yet it's the original gathering for ducted fan jet model enthusiasts in the United States. This year, over 100 entries showed up. Though thunderstorms kept things from starting early on both days, by late morning the rain cleared and jets filled the airspace over Copeland Field. Ducted Fan attracts modelers who are looking for new and exciting aircraft, something with fantastic flight possibilities. These modelers seem to enjoy the technical challenges that are a part of ducted fan aircraft. It brings out the truly experimental aircraft with a wide range of new materials and engineering solutions. But what may be most remarkable about ducted fan jet aircraft is what is available to the sport pilot in the short amount of time ducted fan has been around. Let's first take a look at some of these commercially available jets constructed from kits flying this year at Copeland Field. Byron originals were well represented this year with no less than 10 F-16s present. This seems to be a good flying aircraft with a curious ability to nearly hover in ground effect. Also from Byron's were several F-86 Sabre jets, 2 A-4 Skyhawks, a MiG, and a recent kit from Byron's, the F-15. This is an impressive twin-engine jet with retracts and speed brakes, built and flown here by Ron Abels. This sport jet from Byron's Originals is aimed at those that want to get the maximum performance out of their Byrojet fan unit. It's named the Bullet. Another manufacturer with a large following at the Southwest Fanfly is Bob Violet and his Biojet powered aircraft. We found 10 Sport Sharks and 2 Vipers in the lineup this year. Bob brought several of his latest high-performance aircraft, the Aggressor. We talked with Bob between flights to find out about his latest jet and some of his new developments.
The power unit is the Viojet fan unit powered by the KBV engine. That's an engine made exclusively for my company by K&B to our specifications. So the engine is right here, which is behind the fan. And you can see that the fan shroud kind of expands out of round as it approaches, as the air comes out of the fan and into the engine. It expands for the air to go around the engine. Then there's a stator beacon inside of here, which we can't see, that directs that flow to go around the engine cylinder. And then inside of here, there are streamline fairings that bring the air back into the laminar flow. By removing these little O-ring latches here, we call them cow keepers, we have access to the engine and the tune pipe system. This is the needle valve control, the high-speed mixture control up here. This particular one, we're using an airborne in-flight mixture control, which is a rather new device for our unit. The standard needle valve is also located up here, so that you don't have to fish down in the duct with a screwdriver or some device to tune the engine. The fuel tanks are molded especially for the model. They're kind of whiskey flash-shaped tanks that fit right here on either side of the model and put the fuel right on the CG and right on the same level as the carburetor, so we don't have to use a pump system. These hoses represent pipe pressure coming out of here, equal length lines into the tank vents, which are closed for a pressure system, then 2 equal length lines up into this T-fitting, a filter, and then into the needle valve system. Now, what's significant about this model, we talked about the carbon fiber in the wing. There's carbon fiber in all of these various hatch latches, carbon fiber in the fan structure, the shroud structure, and in parts of the fuselage. But what's very significant is a brand new device here, which is a carbon fiber pipe. Now, it looks like an ordinary nitro-shaped pipe, but this particular pipe is being developed for the specific purpose of quieting down the jet. The jet, as you all can tell in your audio today, is still objectionable in some areas of the country, and certainly not out here in the middle of Texas, but say in the Northeast or other metropolitan areas, the jet normally is running 108 to 110 or 12 dB. This carbon fiber pipe, which weighs less than the aluminum loud pipe that's in here, brings the dB level down to 98 dB. This pipe is in the test stages. We flew it out here just once today to show the crowd the difference in the noise level, and it'll be available approximately a year.
Tom Cook's jet model products, well known for the award-winning F-4 Phantom, also make a high-performance sport model, the Starfire. This one, built by Dennis Crooks, flies as great as it looks. The Starfire is powered by Tom Cook's own fan unit. 2 P-80s were among the jets this year. Both were built from Sterner engineering kits. Power is supplied by a Byron fan unit. There were quite a few Regal Eagles on the flight line. This is primarily a balsa wood kit. We're told it's easy to build and fly. Jet hangar hobbies were represented by 3 aircraft, an F-86, a Kafur, and this A-4 being flown by Bob Fiorenzi. Next, we're going to be looking at the scratch-built and the more experimental aircraft being displayed and flown here at Copeland Field. But before we do, we're going to spend a minute talking with this gentleman who brought a beautiful Kafur built from a Byron's kit.
We're standing here with Colonel Bob Thacker, and he's got an Israeli plane, a Kafur, right?
Right you are, Mr. Black.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, this is a standard Byron kit. It weighs 12.5 pounds. I've got a OS-77 engine in it with a new Hurricane fan. And we're turning a little bit better than 20,000 with this particular fan installed. The rest of it is a Byron setup. It's actually the prototype airplane has been with the Israeli Air Force now for about 10 years, and it is their frontline Top Gun weapon system. Actually, it started out as, it's built under contract from the French military, and the Israelis put the small canards on the front and made it from a straight Delta airplane to a canard Delta configuration, which gives the airplane a little bit better turning radius and a little bit better top speed, and it increases the maneuverability, plus it reduces the airspeed on landing by about 10 knots. So adding the canards did help the weapon system greatly.
I see. You were pretty cool under pressure there a few minutes ago. Could you tell us what happened?
Well, you get sort of numb after a while. I was flying the airplane, and I hate to admit this, but the fuel system came off detached from the top of the fuselage, and when the tank hit the tuned pipe, I lost my tank pressure and the engine went lean. And I was in a bad situation, and I was actually down behind the trees, so I just hung on, and out the other end of the tree line came the airplane, and I landed. And there was some skill, but mostly luck. Mostly luck.
Let's now look at the scratch-built ducted fan aircraft being displayed this year at the Southwest Fanfly. This B-737 was built by Tom Street. It's powered by 2 K and B-25 engines turning Crest fans.
Hey, Charlie Crawford, National Detectives, front and center. And the smooth touchdown and the nice rollout. Now let's give a hand to Tom Street, please.
Tom Sewell, Bobby Ziegler, and Russ Eppright built this 40-size BD-5. The BD-5 is such a good flying airplane, these guys have built a size 20 as well.
Okay, the airplane we have flying is being...
This scratch-built de Havilland Sea Vixen was built by Mike Kulzak. Mike has powered his plane with 2 Aerojet 25s and 2 OS VF-DF 25s. The Sea Vixen weighs 18 pounds and is 1/10 scale. Unfortunately, a mishap piled it up on Sunday. Mike won both the Model Airplane News Technical Achievement Award presented by the editor, Rich Urovich, and the Loctite Corporation Award.
We try to present this trophy to that which represents an unusual achievement, an accomplishment, something that isn't an off-the-shelf type of item. And as a recipient this year, we'd like Mike Kulzik to come on back up with his sea vixen.
Turn around, Mike.
Here's an ambitious project built by Butch Stickles of Fort Worth, Texas. Though it hasn't flown yet, it looks very promising. Powered with 4 Dynamax fans, this plane will weigh 50 pounds at takeoff. This is Dave Thompson's Canadair Tudor. Dave's plane is powered with the Byron fan package. The wingspan is 66 inches and it weighs 12 pounds. The Tudor has lights, retracts, and a smoke system. An elevator clevis broke during this flight on Sunday, causing the loss of this fine aircraft. This attractive model is Steve Corney's Mirage, powered with the new Hurricane fan. If you're looking to build something that in full size goes faster than sound, remember the model of that aircraft is going to go quite fast. Flying a model at 150 plus miles per hour means a little different flying technique. No one we talk to feels flying ducted fans is more difficult than more conventional aircraft, but one never wants to let the aircraft get ahead of the pilot's input on the radio. The style that seems to prevail is the wide sweeping maneuver, putting the aircraft quite high at the turnaround point. Low and fast is a maneuver popular with jet pilots, but a little too low can mean a very broken aircraft. That wraps up our report on the 1987 Southwest Fanfly. Be watching for future reports on this fast-growing, fast-flying area of radio control modeling.
Hi, I'm Dave Pratt. We're here in my workshop in Plantation, Florida this afternoon to take a look at a model in progress. This is a 1/5 scale Macchi 202 fighter airplane from World War II, built by the Italians. The purpose of this model is to attempt to get a place on the team to represent Uncle Sam in the World Championships for radio control scale that will be held in Italy next year. Why a Macchi? Well, first off, the Macchi, of course, is a fighter, and I'm sure you've heard the saying that says there are only 2 types of airplane, fighters and targets. Now, I don't build targets. So among the fighters from World War II, the Macchi strikes as being an extremely beautiful airplane. A Macchi was suitable because I built 3 of them before, and I had the design already done and quite a bit of the tooling already made, so I could build a Macchi quicker than anything else. The FAI rules up until recently called for an aeroplane of 13 pounds maximum weight and with only a 60 engine. Now, at the Toledo show, I heard that these rules have been opened up to 15.4 pounds and any engine you want, no displacement limit, which meant that this type of an airplane, a 1/5 scale fighter, could be built for competition on a world level. So, so those combinations, that combination of factors made the choice of a Mackie quite suitable. Now, another thing about the Mackie is that it has an extremely beautiful paint job on it, and I love to paint, so that made it a very suitable subject for me. Up until this time, in order to get the aeroplane ready to paint, of course, we've had to cover and prepare it, and that went roughly as follows. The model was covered in 6/10 ounce glass fiber cloth, applied with K&B polyester resin, sanded out, another coat of resin, which was then sanded out somewhat more carefully to try to get it as smooth as possible. This was then followed with 2 coats of K&B primer, applied one right after the other, no sanding between. And after this primer was fully cured, about 24 hours later, the whole aeroplane is sanded out and made to be as smooth as possible. Many modelers at this time start in with their color paint. I put one additional stage in here. I give the model a coat of color paint, but I choose the color that will be on the underneath of the aircraft and spray the entire aircraft with one coat of that color. This is, you might say, the first coat of color paint, but more important, it's the last coat of primer. This is the coat of paint that is going to show you what surface you've got on this model. And any little nasties, any wood grain, any dings or scrapes still showing can be taken care of at this time using acrylic auto body putty and resand out and respray the color over the top, so that by the time you're done, you're looking at the model with a finish on it as it will appear when the model is totally completed. You can't depend upon the last coat to do anything for you, because all it's doing is applying color. So you're looking at the model as good as it will ever be at this point, and you must make sure that it's correct. That's why I put this first coat of color paint on. Well, as I said, now we're ready at this time to put on our rivets and our panel joints and generally take care of the three-dimensional surface detail that the aircraft will need. Hatches and so forth are all put on at this time. And with those things done, we're ready to start painting this airplane and making it look pretty, and that's the stage that you might want to take a close-up look at some of the things that we do. This aircraft, because it was used in the desert, has a basic camouflage scheme of sand color with a loose green mottle over the top. And on this particular aircraft that I've chosen, there are numerous little badges. There's a badge comes here, there's a badge here, there's a crest on the fin, and that's besides the wing markings. Now, one of the badges we see right here is the squadron badge that belongs on this particular aircraft, and it fits right here on the model. Now, some modelers will go to a great deal of trouble to try to shortcut this process, and with varying degrees of success, they'll scale this up in a copying machine and try to find a way to lift the image off of the paper and so forth. I've tried these ideas too, but I've found in the past that you may just as well start in and do the job. Now, by that, this is what I mean. I'll take this image and grid it off in a 1/16 inch square grid, and then using my scale factor to the size I need for the model and drawing the grid that much larger, on following the plan, I'll copy the badge onto my new grid, thus getting me a drawing of the badge to the proper size. Once we've got this, we're really off and rolling. We take the drawing that we've made and, flipping it over, redraw across the back. This is to give us some lead on the back to transfer. All right, let's do the mask. Now, for this purpose I use ordinary wide tape. Some people like to use frisket paper, either one works. And we put the tape down on the model thusly, and at this point we need to get a little squeegee. A piece of soft balsa will work very well, it won't damage the model, and really burnish the tape down. Now we need to hold the drawing against the model, of course. Tracing paper is nice for this because you can see exactly your centerline marks that you've made and so forth. Now we'll transfer the image onto the tape that's on the model. With this drawn, when we lift the tape, the drawing of course, now we are looking at that drawing reproduced on this tape. Now what we need to do is to take a brand new number 11 X-Acto blade, put it in our knife holder, and cut away the tape where we are going to have the black. One thing that you will want to know is, how do you make sure that you don't go slicing through the model as well? Well, it's actually easier than it looks. If you imagined putting a foam pad down on a glass table and cutting through the foam with a knife, you'd know when you were up against that table, wouldn't you? So this is much the same. You're cutting through a very soft material with a very hard surface underneath it. Now that we've cut the frisket, of course we've got to lift out the tape where the drawing is. Just lift the corner carefully and pick the pieces out. Now, of course, what we have to do in order to prepare for spraying is mask off the surrounding area of the model and get ready to paint the badge. Now, the color that we need for this badge is black. However, I never use a color right out of the can. In the case of black, I would put some white into it and some red into it in order to kill the denseness and the prettiness of the pure color black, the way it comes out of the can. So really what it is almost a dark purple. And strangely enough, when you put it on the model, it looks more like black than what black would if you put that on. All right, now as you can see, I'm using a very small gun here. That's all we need. And it's only set at about 10 pounds pressure. Now we'll give it a light coat to begin with and pause momentarily to let that tack in slightly before coming back with a full wet coat. Notice that I'm spraying in a vertical mode. All of my spraying on the fuselage is done vertically, and all of it on the wings and stabilizer is done chordwise, horizontally, in order to create an impression of weathering. Now, of course, we come to the best part that this whole thing has been about, and we take a look at what we've got on our model. Notice that I'm not waiting any time from spraying to removing the tape. The quicker you can get the tape off, the better it'll be. However, you of course have to be careful not to touch your wet paint. Now, get this rascal started. Use a pair of tweezers. There's one little piece. Oh, we just only got to come back and get those two forelegs. And there he is. Now, the last part of this marking must be done freehand because it involves lines and dots that are too small to frisket them. So for that I'm using a standard repeatograph drafting pen and just doing it freehand. Okay, it's done.
Byron Originals has been designing and building large radio-controlled aircraft for several years. The manufacturing facility in Ida Grove, Iowa, has been providing ducted fan kits for jet enthusiasts. They also have kits that feature 1/5 scale warbirds, such as the P-51, Japanese Zero, and Corsair. With the experience and knowledge gained from the assembly and design of each of these kits, Byron's began building 5th scale replicas of some of the larger airplanes used in World War II. The C-47 paratrooper plane and the B-25 bomber fly and take an active part in the incredible World War II reenactment Striking Back, staged every August at the Byron's modeling field. As the planes got bigger, the staff at Byron's became more familiar with the technology needed to keep these massive machines in the air. As an added attraction to the reenactment, Byron Godberson, a few years ago, felt it would be an exciting and challenging undertaking to design a 5th scale working and flying model of the B-29 Super Fortress. By using exploded views and drawings of aircraft with rounded nose and streamlined tail, the Byron staff shaped a styrofoam plug of the fuselage as a basis for a mold. The fuselage was then molded in the same manner as Byron's kits. The sheeted foam wings measure 13 feet in length, giving the B-29 an overall wingspan of 28 feet. The wings have conduit openings incorporated in the foam to allow for the massive wiring harness and pneumatic airlines needed to operate the control surfaces. The molded fiberglass fuselage measures 20 feet in length. The designers of the airplane estimated at the time the final weight of the model would be around 300 pounds. The fuselage provides room for wiring harnesses, servos, landing gear, retracted, and enough space to carry 4 separate pressurized air systems. The air pressure systems make possible the opening and closing of the bomb bay doors, hydraulic brakes, and the use of the retracts. The air systems are activated through the use of 3 separate radio systems. One of the radio systems is used for the primary flight controls. A second radio system operates the brakes and bomb bay doors. The third radio system is responsible for operating the starting mechanisms and chokes for the engines. The B-29 is equipped with 4 Quadra 100s, turning a 38-inch diameter 4-bladed prop system. All 16 of the props are carved by hand. The B-29 has a redundant radio frequency system designed by Custom Electronics in California. There is 1 primary transmitter and a backup. The plane has 12 separate power supplies providing power for approximately 28 different servos. When you add it all up, this B-29 Super Fortress comes in at a record 405 pounds. So far, the double exposure, as it has been named, has made 8 successful flights, each time it flies making model aviation history. Kenny Bryant, an experienced model airplane pilot, says he can still really identify with the feelings many modelers have when flying their newly built models for the first time. He says there comes a time when you just have to put all of the thoughts about how much money and time went into an airplane out of your mind and just go out there and fly it, doing the best that you can.
Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful sight there, ladies and gentlemen? Down comes the beam, down comes the nose wheel.
At the Expo 87 show, the B-29 was flown twice before a total audience of 20,000. On the last day of the show, Kenny Bryant was able to fly the plane only 1 time around the field due to the strong winds. Next year, we are told, will be an even better Expo, and who knows what surprises Byron may have in store for us then.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, with this wind you had today, that really surprised me that he flew. Kenny, thanks a lot. The winner's point, you gave it to him, and they will do it again tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, as you depart the facility, please remember, take your time. Stop and bend over and pick something up on the way out. Kenny, Pratt, the whole back. Come on, stand up, let's get on third round of the quad.
The program you're about to see concerns the people at the National Center for Aeromodeling, AMA headquarters. Hello, I'm Jeff Stiles, Director of Public Relations for AMA. AMA has grown very large in the last few years, more than 120,000 members last year, and we're still growing. Since that growth, it perhaps seems difficult for people to get in touch with AMA staff or with AMA elected officers. The purpose of this film is to introduce you to the people at AMA headquarters, the functions they serve, the jobs that they perform, and to show you that they too have a strong interest in model aviation. So I'd like to invite you to sit back, watch this program, and get better acquainted with the staff in Reston.
Morning, AMA. Could I tell her who's calling? Just a minute, please.
The establishment of an AMA-owned center was a dream for a long time. To combine offices and a permanent museum was an idea that was discussed over many years. One of the key people in these discussions and plans was John Worth, Executive Director of AMA for more than 20 years. As Executive Director, he is responsible for all day-to-day operations at the National Center. As a member of the AMA Executive Council, he is also directly involved in formulating plans for the future of the organization.
And right here is my favorite spot where I like to stand at this rail and look at some of the famous names that are involved in model aviation and what they built, what's been donated to this museum so that people now and in the future can see what model aviation is all about and where we came from. It's a great place to work, I can tell you that. Surrounded by all this history and looking back over the more than 50 years that the Academy has been in existence. I think it might be interesting to give you some idea what this place is all about.
Hi, I'm Hurst Bowers. I'm the curator of the AMA Museum and Library. Our museum officially began in 1983 when we moved into the new building. John Worth asked me if I'd come in on a part-time basis and a consultant basis to act as curator. We've grown considerably since that time, particularly with the acquisition of the Barrera collection of models. When Russ died, his wife made this collection available to the AMA. In addition to that, we have Maynard Hill's altitude record holder. We have an awful lot of Walt Goods equipment, both air models and radio equipment. We have a lot of the old Wakefield actual models and replicas, primarily Gordon Light's 1935 winner. We're getting quite a collection of control line models and other radio control models in our collection. Our library, I think, is probably one of the most important aspects. We're rapidly growing. We have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12,000 publications, plans and what have you now, and we're able to do quite a respectable job in research for scale builders and for people who would like material information on a lot of the old plans and designs and data. For those of you who don't know our business hours here, we're open every day from about 8 to 5, on Saturdays from 10 to 3, and on Sundays we are closed, but we'll be happy to arrange to receive and open the museum for groups
clubs, scout groups, school groups, or anyone who would like to come in and see it on that day can't make it at any other time.
A very important AMA member benefit is the insurance package. The Special Services Department handles all AMA insurance matters and computer operations. Carl Maroney, a 15-year employee at AMA, heads up this group.
Most important are three types of insurance coverage that are automatically provided as part of membership. These three insurance coverages are liability, accident medical, and fire, vandalism, and theft. In fact, we even log and track claims. We track claims from the initial contact that you make to us all the way through until such time that final settlement is made with the claimant. Frequently, many of you members we've talked with. You'll call us or perhaps even write. And we try to answer your questions based upon our many years of experience, as well as taking in consideration the terms and conditions of the insurance policy. We've had a unique opportunity, too, in developing some new products. We've been involved in supporting the membership department with the new express mail concept, and more importantly, even with the new application form that has the tear-off temporary receipt that so many of you have been very pleased with. In order to help you better understand our data processing operation of the department, please let's listen in to our two computer specialists now.
Hello, my name is Michael McKenzie.
And I'm Bill Reed. Mike and I are responsible for maintaining the two mini-computers that AMA has. We keep both the mini-computers here in this small computer room. The temperature, humidity, and power are all automatically controlled.
Why don't we introduce them to the computers?
Okay. This computer over here is the new Prime, which maintains the membership information for the 120,000 AMA members.
And over here is the DEC 1173. It gives AMA word processing capabilities, as well as stores data for clubs, insurance, officers, newsletter editors, hobby shops, and much more.
Because they work so much, it's not uncommon for us to go home at the end of the day and leave the machines running well into the night and on weekends.
The computers have become an essential tool for the membership department, one of the busiest groups at AMA. With 10 employees, membership is the largest single department in the organization. They receive more mail and more telephone calls than anyone else. More than 1,000 pieces of mail every day, more than 18,000 address changes every year. Every application, every club document, anything at all to do with membership matters for the more than 120,000 AMA members and the more than 2,300 chartered clubs. The chances are that you will have contact with Mike Woodfolk, membership director, or one of his people before you talk to anyone else at the National Center. Like everyone else in Reston, they are very customer conscious.
And remember, we are here to serve you, the member. So if you have a problem, please write us or give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you.
Hi, my name is Lynn Girdner. I work in the accounting department with 5 other people here at AMA. Our department handles AMA's money. We record all the checks and cash that come to AMA. Membership money is received and recorded by our office, and then we transfer the information to the membership department for processing. We also spend money for AMA. All expenditures are approved by the executive director or department heads. We do financial planning by means of putting together our annual budget. We invest available funds in bank CDs and money market accounts, but never in speculative funds. We take care of FAI team funds in our trust, and we record all the revenues and expenses involved with the nationals. AMA now has a self-insurance program. The claims are handled by our insurance company, but we record and monitor all the financial data. We also keep track of the revenue we receive from advertisers in Model Aviation magazine. Our own computer system helps us account for AMA's finances. The message I want to leave with you is that all AMA's funds are handled responsibly in accordance with AMA bylaws.
Hi, I'm Doug Pratt. I'm the Special Projects Director for the AMA. Special Projects is kind of an elastic term. I get involved in a lot of different areas. Primarily, my area of responsibility includes working with the model industry on the wholesale, retail, and manufacturer level. We have quite a few projects that we have developed over a period of years where we work with industry support. We support them in a lot of ways. We help them by answering a lot of consumer questions. As a matter of fact, if you call into AMA with a question of some sort, you'll probably wind up either talking to Bob Underwood or to me. We work with the Radio Control Hobbies Trade Association. We work with the Hobby Industries of America, and we also work quite a lot with local hobby stores. This is a hobby store project that you've probably seen. There are about 2,000 hobby stores in the country that have these AMA license stations in them. And we developed a special application for this that folds itself into an envelope. We've gotten over 29,000 new members from this particular project in the last 3 years. So that's helped get the AMA message out quite a lot and helped get more hobby dealers on our side.
Hello, my name is Carl Wheely. I have the title of editor and publisher of Model Aviation magazine. In the department that I head up, including myself, we have 6 very good folks who work together jointly each month to put out the magazine. Some folks remark that this is a very small staff for this size magazine, and while I admit that's true, I think we all just work at it very hard, so we hope that we put out a product each month that the members like to receive and enjoy reading. Some folks wonder sometimes, hey, do we only do part of the magazine here, or do we do everything? Well, some people say we do everything, but that's not quite right. We do all the editing, preparatory work, most of the typesetting, all the page makeups for the printer, but we do not print the magazine itself. That's printed in Wisconsin. One thing that might interest a lot of viewers here is the fact that we take in articles from AMA members from all over the country. If you've got a model design that is unique in some way, or could write and illustrate photography, line drawings, a good how-to project, even if it's not state-of-the-art, if it's something that hey, people need constant reminders for, hey, you might well find we'd like to print it for the benefit of all the other member readers. Should that be your circumstance, one thing that I would recommend you're doing is to contact me either by writing or a telephone call, because we have a one-sheet general author guideline paper that would get you off on the right start.
Investing in property was an excellent decision for the Academy and all its members. The value of this investment has grown tremendously since 1983. However, owning property means additional responsibility for AMA staff, and someone had to shoulder the day-to-day chores of building maintenance and repair. Bob Vaslavic is that person.
Hello, my name is Bob Vaslavic. My title is Administrative Services Director. As such, I head a team of 5 people who provide services to the other department. The object is to provide support that better enables them to give the members services. Some of the examples might be, we handle over 3 million pieces of mail each year. This is your card going out, your application coming in. Over 1 million pieces of printing are produced in-house to serve you, as well as providing you with the supply and service orders which you place, the film rentals which your club uses for special events nights, as well as videotape sales. In addition to these, we handle over 75 to 100 telephone calls each day, making every effort to route them as quickly as we can so that you don't have to wait too long on the phone. We also handle all of the incoming and outgoing packages. We oversee the purchasing in an effort to see to it that when products are purchased, you get the best deal for your dollar. We are here to serve the other departments so that they can serve you to the best of their ability.
Hi, my name is Vince Mankowski. I'm the NATS General Manager. The NATS is the largest model airplane contest of its kind in the world today. AMA's long-range plan, its #1 priority is the promotion and protection of model flying. And the NATS is the largest promotion for model aviation in the world. When we leave here to go to a national site, not only do I go, but 7 other individuals from this office join me there. 7 administrative people And in there are 2 people who do nothing but crank out a newsletter each day and 2 people who are strictly involved in the promotional, the PR aspects of the Nats. Those people on site contact newspapers both locally and nationally. They contact radio and TV stations. They do a tremendous effort bombarding that entire region with promotional activity and information about model flying. We have received as a benefit of this letters from governors, state senators, city mayors, military commanders, the President of the United States endorsing model flying in the United States. We involve chambers of commerce and parks and recreation departments, and it makes it a lot easier for the modeler who begins to talk about keeping or getting a flying site to talk to these people once this activity has happened. The direct result back to the modeler, beyond the promotion aspects, beyond the activity that happens locally, what do we get back out of this thing that's tangible? The Nats is a tremendous technology leap forward. It's fitting we're in the museum. If you have a chance to come here, most of these airplanes chase their heritage back to a nationals. The work in new composites, new engines, new radio development, new supplies, the new kits that come on the market, all these things are brought forth by the competition on that site. That's a significant contribution to modeling. What I suggest you do is become a part of it. It's the largest event of its kind. It's your event. Visit the Nationals, see and experience it. If you at all possibly can, make that trip to Modeling Mecca. If it's possible at all, work in Nationals. What you can appreciate from modeling from the other side of the score sheet will really help you. And of course, if you have that opportunity, make a memory and fly in the Nationals. If you want to get involved, just drop us a note. We'll make sure that you get information for next year's National Model Airplane Championships.
Hello, my name is Bob Underwood. I'm the Technical Director for the Academy of Model Aeronautics.
My name is Micheline Madison, and I'm the Director of the Competitions Department. I have 2 people who support me in this tremendous workload, Debbie Brown and Penny Hudson. And while many of you may not be competition-oriented, if any of you get the itch, please call and we'll help you along.
A very large amount of my time now, since I'm the liaison between the Frequency Committee, the FCC, and industry, is spent with radio frequency concerns. This is a very important item for the Academy, and just sorting out the misinformation is a monumental task at this particular point.
The Public Relations Department serves a variety of functions at AMA. One of the important ones is getting the model aviation message out to the general public. To this end, we make news releases to national media, press, magazines, television. We also provide a variety of services to AMA chartered clubs and members. I'd like to introduce Jeff Troy to tell you about some of those services.
Some of the things that the Public Relations Department gets involved in are the Adopt a School program, the AMA Air Show Team program, and the Mall Show program. These are all very useful in bringing model airplaning into the light of the general public. We also have a program aimed specifically at AMA charter clubs, which is our Flying Sight program. We have some useful tools available: our film, A Plane, A Place, A Perfect Day, our book, Getting and Keeping Flying Sights, in addition to our Flying Sight package, are all very useful items when a club needs to make a presentation in the pursuit of a flying sight. We'd like to remind clubs that if they need assistance in this area, we're here to help. We have many things we can tell you that are going to make your job easier, and all you have to do is contact us. Jeff?
As you can see, we look upon our function here as a service function. Clubs need help, and we've got many years of experience in providing the kind of help that they need. So if you find yourself faced with a problem in any area where you feel we can be of assistance, give us a chance. Let us work with you.
A place like this just doesn't happen. AMA is governed by what's called an executive council. It's really equivalent to a board of directors of a corporation. There are 15 members of that council, and 13 of those are elected by the AMA membership. They come from all parts of the country. They meet at least 4 times a year. They develop budgets just like any corporation does. And of course, a good part of that budget goes toward operating this building, the Academy of Model Aeronautics National Center for Aero Modeling. In that respect, the membership has a direct input to everything that's done here, and we're conscious all the time of the need to serve the people who provide the money that enables us to operate.
This videotape was created for the special purpose of giving you, the AMA member, some insight into the people and operations at Reston. I believe you can sense the enthusiasm and dedication these people have for the work they perform. I know I speak accurately when I say we all enjoyed making this video. I would like to tell you that this was an unrehearsed effort. We hope you have enjoyed having the chance to hear and see some of the folks you may have written to or spoken with by phone. We do like to hear from members. We ask you to contact us if we can help you in any way with any of the services we offer. We would especially like you to come and see us in Reston. The museum and the National Center are yours. Your dues and special donations are what made them possible. If business or vacation plans should bring you to Washington, please try to arrange a visit to your National Center for Aero Modeling. You will be warmly welcomed and we'll be pleased. Come and see us.
The 1987 Scale Masters Championships held in Las Vegas, Nevada are sponsored by Pacer Technology and hosted by Las Vegas Radio Control Club. Founded by Harris Lee, the Scale Masters program originated in 1980. The first competition was held at Fountain Valley, California. Normally, the competition takes place in the southern United States to take advantage of good fall weather. And where could you find better weather than Las Vegas, Nevada? Sometimes the dice roll against you in Las Vegas. Rain, a very rare weather condition, did manage to dampen things on Saturday. People and planes became increasingly wet as the day went on, but spirits remained high, and when given the option to shut down because of inclement weather, the pilots responded with, "Let's keep flying." Some of the best rounds were put in during the worst weather. This Waco YMF-5 was built by Jack Buckley from Marlborough, Massachusetts, and that's in OS-90 four-stroke pulling it along. The scale aircraft is judged on the perfection with which the model simulates the physical and the flight performance of the full-size aircraft it represents. There are two parts to the judging: static and flight. There are 5 mandatory and 5 optional maneuvers with 10 possible points for each maneuver. Optional maneuvers may include 2 mechanical functions. The 2 highest scoring rounds are averaged and added to the static score for a total point accumulation. This unique aircraft was created by Neil Snodgrass of Churchville, Maryland. It's a mid-wing special which was derived from a PA-18 Piper Cub. It has a 78-inch wingspan and is powered by a Tartan twin. Here is Dave Armitage's Blackburn. This plane has already won 6 first places in its career. It's powered with an OS-124 stroke. Dave is one of several competitors from South Africa this year. Bob Hent spent a moment talking to us about his entry.
1/5 scale T-34C. It started out as an R&T Associates kit, which consists of a fiberglass fuselage with an entirely balsa built-up wing and full empennage. The airplane turned out to weigh 22 pounds. It's painted with K&B epoxy, has a Super Tiger 2500 for the power plant and a 16/8 master air screw prop.
This wet airplane is Chuck Fuller's scratch-built Ryan PT-22, 24 pounds and a wingspan of 104 inches. It's powered by a Zenowa 3.7. It has flaps and smoke. Chuck is from Salinas, California. Raymond Torres won first place in the 1986 Scale Masters with his T-34. This year he is back with a new aircraft. Between rounds, we spoke with Raymond about his model and what it's like to compete at the Masters.
Well, it's a Beech King Air. It's basically a Beech King Air C90, but it's what they call the military version. They use it for, I believe, it's twin engine training and navigation and stuff like that. It's a glass fuselage, it's glass Kevlar fuselage. The center section, including the two nacelles, are a one-piece glass Kevlar. The outboard wings and the tail surfaces are balsa wood carbon fiber structure. The airplane features Fowler flaps. It's got retractable landing gear, brakes, landing lights, beacon lights, navigation lights. What I was doing is I was demonstrating the flaps and the gear to the judges because I feel that's a strong point on that airplane. So I want to make sure that they see it. The flap is a Fowler flap. Basically, it's a copy of what's on the airplane. The flaps move aft at the same time they're moving down. It uses a torque tube setup with two flap tracks and then a geared down servo to move the two flaps. The landing gear is a mechanical landing gear. Each gear has a servo tied to it. The landing gear was hand carved out of nylon due to weight. And again, it's electric, gives you about 5 or 6 second travel time.
What sort of changes did you have to make in your flying for this kind of weather?
Well, actually, this kind of weather helped me yesterday, as you can see in the score, because some of the stuff I got in the airplane and things like navigation lights and landing lights, and with the overcast and the rain, it was like the ideal situation. The lights showed up. I could talk to the judges, tell them I was marginal VFR and turn the landing lights on. I mean, that kind of stuff went over good. The flying, I'm still learning to fly the airplane. I've only got about 9 or 10 flights on it.
This lovely tiger moth is the entry of Digby Crank, who's come from Bloemfontein, South Africa. His moth was built from a pilot kit and is powered with an Inya 124-stroke. This Gloucester Gladiator was built by Earl Thompson of Livermore, California. This scratch-built project weighs in at 17 pounds and seems very nicely powered by the Inya 240 V-twin, and the plane features functioning flaps. Charles Nelson from Berlin, Massachusetts, built this Waco VKS 7FR cabin biplane. This plane was scratch-built from his own plans. It spans 78.4 inches and weighs 14.5 pounds and is powered by an OS-90 four-cycle engine. Charles did have a problem on his third round. We asked him to tell us what happened.
We took off yesterday afternoon in the rain on our
third round. We took off, turned left again. Suddenly the aircraft rolled left and dove towards the ground. The pilot did not make this maneuver. I was able to recover shy of the ground and raise the nose. Went probably 50 feet, and the aircraft turned itself over again with about 20 feet of altitude and dove straight into the ground, causing approximately 20% loss of the front of the aircraft. A setback when you're in this caliber, of this level of competition, you have so much time involved in the aircraft. I do anyway, and I'm so familiar with it that it's almost like the death of a member of the family. I have to admit that when we get the wreck cleaned up and in the car, I broke down and cried. I'm not afraid to admit it, and I'm very hurt. However, to the newcomer, I will say this: anyone can be beaten. Put your nose to the grindstone, steer a straight course, build well, document well, practice, practice, practice.
This Japanese fighter, the Tony, was built by Frank Tiano. It's an all-balsa construction with foam wing and a wingspan of 86 inches and weighs 15 pounds. Power is supplied by an OS-108. Frank tells us this model is the version flown by the famous Japanese fighter pilot Saburo Sakai. Flying the Tony, he downed 14 B-17s at a high altitudes. 3 of these were by directly ramming the bombers in midair. Frank is from Davie, Florida. During the final score tabulation on Sunday, Frank Tiano, Scott Fisher with his P-47D, and Brian O'Meara flying his older version of the P-47 put on an excellent flying demonstration. Jeff Troy from Reston, Virginia says he likes his aircraft old and weird. This is his entry Valerio X-12. This plane spans 102 inches and weighs 13 pounds. It's powered with an Inya 124 stroke. Jeff's plane features wing warping for lateral control and bomb drop. A Curtiss Jenny JN4D is Dick Hansen's entry. This Jenny was built from a Lou Proctor prototype kit. Wingspan is 87.5 inches and weighs a mere 9.75 pounds. An Inya 84 stroke is the engine Dick installed. This giant 1/3 scale Cub was built by Glenn Roberts from East London, South Africa. This Cub spans 12 feet and is 5 years old. It's powered with a 4-cylinder 2-stroke Super Tartan. Glenn told us that civilian planes do better in competition than military aircraft. There are few military aircraft in South Africa from which to get documentation.
Anybody has a transmitter, make sure it's turned off. You've got a semi-defined frequency control out there. If you've got a transmitter and you're not flying, make sure it's turned off, please. It's a little exhibition work. It's above and beyond the call of duty, but for a pilot out of a scale airplane, he wants to show it off a little bit. Slow and low with the big J3 Cub. Hope he doesn't trip a wheel in the grass out there. A lot of hours on a magnificent airplane. Truly a miniature aircraft, really remarkable. What'd you say, Pratt?
I would say, amen to that. You know, even on the throttle quadrant, he's got a worn throttle quadrant on there.
There goes that Jenny again, doing neat things. A side slip working with the cut, how about that? Hard right rudder, hard left aileron, a touch of elevator. Straightens it out at the last moment.
And he wheels it right on, right down there in front. That's it. Let's hear it, ladies.
Very fine, Mr. Roberts.
Back again this year is Bob Fiorenza from Brooklyn, New York, with his fantastic twin-engine F4, built from a Tom Cook kit, powered by two Rossi 65s. Bob's plane weighs in at 20 pounds and spans 58 inches.
Yeah, John flies these. Again, a top competitor, like all the rest of our gentlemen out here. All right, a pull up. And very nice pull.
Maxie Hester, who's been in modeling since dinosaurs roamed the earth, built this spacewalker. This aircraft is the prototype of a new SIG kit. Maxie's plane spans 104 inches and is powered with an OS opposing four-cylinder, four-stroke engine. Maxie has recently finished building a full-size spacewalker and says both have the same great flying qualities. Another regular competitor and three-time winner of the Scale Masters is Kent Walters and his Douglas Dauntless SBD-3. Kent built his Dauntless from Bob Holman plans. With a wingspan of 69 inches, it weighs 15 pounds. Kent's plane features flaps, dive brakes, and bomb drop. Another warbird, scratch-built from Bob Holman plans. This Curtiss P-40 Kitty Hawk was built by David Vogeland from Radcliffe, Kentucky. His P-40 spans 64 inches and weighs 12.75 pounds. It features retracts and tank drop. Power is supplied from an OS-90 four-stroke. Sunday afternoon, under clearing skies, the final rounds of flying were completed. The score sheets were turned in for tabulation while several pilots put on flying demonstrations. Pilots and spectators waited for the results and wondered who would be the 1987 champion of scale. Though not a competing aircraft, this P-38 is worth a look. Built by Chuck Fuller, it's a 1/5 scale P-38J, scratch-built from his own drawings. The fuselage and nacelles are fiberglass. Wings are foam with ply covering. Power is supplied by two Quadra 35s. Chuck reports it flies like a dream.
What was unique about the control system on that aircraft, John?
In simple terms, it had a steering wheel in it. For a fighter aircraft, that was very unique. As you mentioned, it's a big, heavy bird. That's coming in for a flyby. You may be experiencing a little landing gear difficulty. Japanese copy publications have something here. We'll be happy to turn it in. And Chuck's low rolls, the big P-38. He's got more guts than Dick Tracy. Looks like power's coming back. I think Chuck's coming in for a landing with the big 38. All right, and he's on and rolling. Nice demo there, Mr. Tony Levere, Chuck Fuller. Looking good.
Under beautiful skies, the award ceremonies got underway. We're going to listen in on some of the pilots in the winner's circle as they receive their trophies and congratulations. Starting in 10th place this year is Dave Armitage of South Africa flying the Blackburn. In 9th place, David Pape of Winterburn, Canada. David competed with his 1933 Kenner Sportster, 117-inch wingspan, 27 pounds, and a 5-cylinder radial engine that he also scratch-built.
And after I had it finished, I was just hoping I could qualify for this, and I'm very happy. This is my first contest in the United States, and to end up in 9th place is just fantastic. Thank you very much.
In 8th place is Chuck Fuller, flying the Ryan PT-22.
Someplace, there it is. Ryan PT-22. I became rather interested in the Ryan STA many years ago, and so I decided the PT-22 was a good model to model with the radial engine instead of the inverted Minasco. And lo and behold, I found out after I built the first one that the wing was supposed to be swept back. So I learned a lot about the airplane and a little study here and there. It's a fiberglass fuselaged airplane out of my molds and foam wings with balsa wood cap strips to simulate a build-up structure. And I had a military one a couple of 3 years ago. It did never know what a good flight was. This one's the extreme opposite. I just stand there and watch it fly. It's so good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
In 7th place is Bob Fry. He competed with a P-47 Thunderbolt. Bob is from Glendale, Arizona.
I'm often accused of talking too much, but I got to say one thing. My goal this year, building this itty-bitty P-47 here, was to prove that small airplanes can still compete. And it appears that I've fulfilled that. I'd like to thank Al Casey for not flying so good this weekend. He had a lot of trouble, and I think the meet has been a super success, particularly the flying. From my standpoint, we had only 2 crashes. 60, how many? 59 pilots. We had 2 crashes, and neither one of them were pilot error.
Kent Walters finished in 6th place this year with his Dauntless 5 BD3. Kent is from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, my plane over here is that SBD-3 Douglas Dauntless. I suspect it's the oldest plane out here on the field competing. And I think it was literally starting to fall apart this week, and as a consequence, being over 9 years old. But at any rate, I was real happy I was able to do as well as I was, and I think indeed the meet was very successful in spite of the weather. And indeed, I think it was a thrill for all of us to compete under such conditions and do so relatively successful. It's the first time I've flown in the rain, so and I suspect it's been the same for some of the rest of us. But it all went very well, and I, again, thank you very much.
Shailesh Patel from Eureka, California flew his P-47 Thunderbolt into 5th place.
I'd like to say that I'm flying the Little Chief P-47 over there, and I almost didn't make this contest because I crashed my last airplane, and that was a lot of work to get it done. A lot of midnights, but it was well worth it. Thank you.
Bob Hanf, flying an RT Associates Beechcraft T-34, took 4th place this year. Bob is from Alberta, Alabama.
I'm sorry I don't have my airplane on display. I put it in the car, and my son and his fiancée had to turn in the rental car, so it went to the airport My airplane was inspired by knowing Ramon Torres and his dad since Ramon was a youngster at Wilmington, like around 75. And I've watched Ramon and his crew fly the T-34 so successfully for so many years. And being an ex-Navy pilot and being from Pensacola, Florida, the home of naval aviation.
Landing in third place this year is Bob Fiorenza from Brooklyn, New York. Bob flies the Phantom F4.
Thank you. The model I brought here was the F4 Phantom, and I just want to say that the level of competition here is tremendous. The work is tremendous, and I'm just glad to be here and place in the top 10. Thank you.
Dennis Crooks brought his TBM-3E Avenger into second place. And Dennis is from Big Rock, Illinois.
TBM-3E Avenger started out with Bob Holman plans. Got some blueprints from Grumman. Had a little more accurate that way. The folding wings were just something I wanted to do. It was so much a part of the airplane. Had it never been done, I thought I'd give it a shot. The airplane's brought me a long way. I'm kind of fond of it. You shouldn't get attached to something of this nature. They tend to be short-lived. I'm afraid I didn't succeed in that. Although I've said it before, but this is it. The airplane's been around for 4 years. I'm afraid it's been flown for the last time. I just take it home and put it away. I do appreciate the people who have given me support this weekend. Again, I thank you. And my wife, I couldn't have done it without her. One of the few women who are seriously involved in the hobby. My caller, the airplane has never been flown unless she's there. I couldn't have done it without her.
We're going to let Craig Hath, contest director, introduce the 1987 Scale Masters winner.
He's an excellent modeler, and he's the most intense competitor I've ever seen in radio control modeling, bar none. The man is very sharp. Not only is he a function of his own, but he also brings with him a team, because he works with his father, who helps him out tremendously. The airplane that he flew this weekend was this twin-engine C-90 King Air. Yesterday we had nearly complete instrument rating weather. He went off with his landing lights and his strobes, and it was fabulous. If you had not known it was a model, you would never guessed. And so I'd like to bring up our 1987 Scale Masters champion, Ramon Torres, with his C-90 King Air.
Scale Masters, I plan my year around this contest. This contest is growing more and more each year, and I look forward to next year. I want to thank all of you, especially Harris Lee, for this contest. It's a fantastic contest. Thank you.